Greetings, Highlanders fans, and welcome to GoHighlanders.com's coverage of the 2010 men's soccer season. The season opener is a few days away, so we took the time to sit down with head coach Junior Gonzalez to get his take on the upcoming season. Before we get into the 2010 season, let's take a quick look back at 2009. Number of close losses last year, 9 by 1 goal. What are your thoughts on how 2009 turned out, and what does this year's squad take from that experience?
Well, anytime you go through a season like that, results-wise, it's tough on the morale and the group in general. But I think going through a season like that and being so close to turning games around, it really helped the guys that are still here within the program, and it really helped them focus on the spring season. I mean, we had a 1-16-1 season last season and a fall season, but we turned it around and had a 6-2-1 non-traditional spring season. And I felt that the experiences we took away from the fall helped us have the best spring season of our history. So it was an interesting year. We did some things with our formation during the non-traditional season that I think helped our team improve on our defensive side of the ball. In turn, hopefully will give us more opportunities to win and turn around those tight games.
You had 6 seniors on last year's squad: Michael Galland, David Lozano, Nathan Patterson, Doug Thrasher, Robert Cate, and Xavier Perez. Who replaces their contributions in the lineup this year?
Well, you know, we have a small group. Arnulfo Sanchez is a target forward. I think the transition from his junior college career last season was tough for him, and I think now he's finally found his stride and he's finishing opportunities and he's contributing to the attack so far from our 2 scrimmages. We have Tyler Wilson that had a stint throughout the summer with the Puerto Rican national team. He's taken away quite a bit of experience from that in the Inter-Caribbean games, and is now, I think, focused on leading the team. Nisa Atifi, a 5th-year senior that's been through the program and its ups and downs in the last few years as far as results are concerned, and has had to battle from playing numerous positions, is now taking a leadership role in the team and will be a mainstay in the back line. And Norm Mariscal, a transfer from Cerritos. He's also a guy that came in last year, and we had him playing the midfield. Now he'll be playing in our defensive line. It's, I feel, going to contribute quite a bit as well.
Are there other returning players you see making an impact this season, particularly those who may have been a little bit more behind the scenes last year?
Well, I think just the sophomores last year, now turning into juniors. You know, got Cesar Diaz, Joel Garcia, a lot of those guys that were still trying to find themselves at this level have really done a good job of training over the summer and coming out and making an impact so far. Arnulfo Sanchez, like I mentioned before, I think is doing a good job up higher in the field and creating scoring opportunities. To be honest with you, I think there's quite a few guys that were in that 2009 team that have really stepped up and are looking to contribute all over the pitch.
One person who contributed quite a bit last year, Cody Supay, goalkeeper. He got the majority of minutes between the pipes a year ago. He's back once again, but you also have some other keepers in camp who are vying for playing time. What can you tell us about each of their games?
Well, going into the preseason camp, they were all pretty much even. Cody Supay did get a lot of time. We did have a transfer from Creighton, Nick Goldwright, come in, which I think has done a lot on many aspects of the program. But he raised the level of competition between Cody and Nick, and then Alex Abelson, that has been coming off injury, also was right there in the mix on choosing a number 1. So to be honest, we've gone and started Nick Goldwright for the first 2 scrimmages, but it's still pretty tight. The difference between all the keepers is really close.
Can you take a quick look at some of the other newcomers on the field? Are there other players you haven't mentioned yet who you think are going to make immediate contributions?
We have guys like Aaron Long, Enzi, Richie Osborne, Ruben Valencia.
Enzi, you're not going to try and say his
I'm not going to try
name?
and say
Okay.
his full name, so his nickname is Enzi. And Joel Mpofo is a guy that we see. He's a Ghanaian student here at UCR that we picked up through the tryout process, that we feel is an extremely talented player in the midfield that who will be getting quite a bit of time. To be honest, the whole freshman class has been very good in how they've approached it and come in and really set a level of competitiveness for the returners. So it's been a very competitive environment in the preseason.
You've also got two new assistant coaches this year, Tim Capello and Tim Hogan. What can you tell us about their backgrounds?
Tim Capello's coming from Syracuse. He's a solid coach. He's very good at recruiting. It's enabled us to focus more on recruiting out of region as well. He just comes with a lot of contacts with out of region recruits. And then Tim Hogan having a goalkeeper specific coach, someone that's committed to train the goalkeepers and to be an extra set of eyes for the field players, has been great. He comes out of Georgetown as a player, and then he was a grad assistant there, an assistant coach, and he also was at Florida Gulf Coast, his most recent school. And he's brought quite a bit to the table, so I'm very excited to have more staff and guys that are here full time that are willing to help out.
The season opener is just a few days away. You've played two preseason scrimmages. What did you learn about your team against Cal Baptist and UNLV that maybe you didn't know going in, or what things were reinforced that you did know?
Well, UNLV last season had a great year. They were a few games away from making the NCAA tournament, the first winning season. So for us to come out and shut that team out and to score 2 goals, put 2 on the board, I feel that defensively is what our main focus for the preseason. Getting the team organized, getting them to buy in and to learn their roles in the new system. And I felt that with 1 week's training in preseason, we did a good job of implementing those things and getting a result. Cal Baptist as well is a very solid NAIA team that's been in the tournament the last 2 years. I think that it's a very organized team, and they rarely are shut out. And I thought the defensive side of the ball is what we were mainly focusing on in the preseason. To get 2 shutouts, I think, is extremely positive.
Well, the first regular season match is just a few days away, San Jose State, Wednesday, September 1st. You also have matches this year against the likes of Loyola Marymount, UCLA. What would you say is your philosophy when it comes to scheduling those non-conference opponents?
Well, I think it's, obviously in the Western region there's no easy opponent, but I think what we try to do is get some solid teams from each conference and test ourselves. We have a neutral site where we're playing 2 out-of-region opponents after we play San Jose State at the UNLV tournament. And then teams like UCLA, you have to test yourselves before you get into conference, and UCLA is a proven top 10 opponent, and I feel that going there is just going to help us build towards what we want, what we're trying to achieve, and that's a top 4 in conference. And with teams like San Luis Obispo, Irvine, Santa Barbara, Northridge, those teams in our conference, I think those games will help us prepare for our overall goal.
Speaking of the conference, the Big West Conference Coaches Poll came out this past week, and a familiar face sitting on top of it, UC Santa Barbara, picked to finish first in the league. They advanced to the Sweet 16 a year ago. Why are they the favorites again this year?
Well, I mean, I think most of the times the coaches go off last year's results on this preseason coaches polls. They try not to put too much emphasis on that because the games that haven't really begun to be played. And every year it's a different squad, but I feel that they've proven themselves. It's shown on their record, and we expect those types of teams that have been consistent to be on top.
But what other teams do you think have the best shot at knocking off the Gauchos, and where do you see the Highlanders fitting into that mix?
I think that any team in the Big West Conference has an opportunity to knock off the Gauchos. I really do. It's one of the best conferences in the nation. I really try not to focus on what the other teams are doing and what results they can get, and focus on our squad and the daily process, and as we get into conference, focus on the next match.
Well, speaking of our specific results, when November rolls around, if UC Riverside is preparing for a first-round Big West Conference tournament match, what will have been the keys to the team's success along the way?
I think just staying organized, sticking to a philosophy, a game plan, making sure defensively that we're focused on not allowing opportunities, and to be free on the attack and keep the ball moving at a good pace on the defensive and the middle thirds of the field, and obviously the attacking third, and just sticking to our plan, focusing on what we do best as a UC Riverside men's soccer program.
Thanks so much for your time, Coach. Good luck during the 2010 season.
Thank you.
The Highlanders season opener is slated for Wednesday, September 1st against San Jose State.